Welcome back, everybody, to yet another episode of the Three-Man Weave College Basketball Show, hosted by SportsbookReview.com. I am the host, Mr. Matthew Cox. It is, in fact, hump day. Unfortunately, there's a hump that we just cannot get over. I believe it's the second straight time of me hosting. I have been the bearer of bad news, and that is the Weave is a little bit frigid right now. We're in a funk. Pain is temporary, but glory is forever. Trust the process. Before we get to takeaways and self-show promotions, Jim, kick us off here.
I'm sorry, what? Before we get to takeaways? What do you want me to kick us off on?
Wait, do you have I thought you had a kind of an intro, something to set to cheer us up. Kind of a mood.
No, I had a takeaway. So I don't want to.
Well, hopefully that takeaway does what I was hoping you would intend it to. So go ahead. Yes. What's your takeaway, Jim? What did you learn last night?
We saw a team that is on the Gonzaga Baylor level. Finally, a team that just rolled, dominated the first half, dominated the second half, never let up against a pretty opponent we thought was pretty good. And I'm talking, of course, about Alabama. I'm sure exactly who you thought I was talking about.
Tide.
The Tide, baby. They are back. They are firing on all cylinders. Some concerns long term about Herb Jones' injury. Jordan Bruner went down late as well. They're still missing Quinterly, but man, what a performance at Kentucky. They just never let Big Blue in it. And people kind of thought, including myself, that Big Blue Nation would be back. But nope. It's all Alabama in the SEC, baby.
Yep. Loser for me there. Ky, what did you learn last night?
Matt, I learned Toledo is still WOW wow against the spread. If Drake didn't exist, we'd be talking about them constantly. They're now 12-2 against the number. Covered 7 in a row. They are a literal rocket, shooting 39.7% from deep. 16th best in the country. Their offense is up to 24 in the country on KenPom. Toledo guys, buy into the hype, Matthew. I know we didn't last night, but I will going forward.
Yeah, I thought that's up for a good matchup with EMU. They've been playing better basketball. But Jim, the founder of Toledo's Faders Anonymous, I am going to check in to that rehab facility. So Jim, I hope you'll have me.
I've been here for 2 weeks, and it's been great not betting against them. So
yeah, you feel like you've been cleansed. I need that. I need that rehabilitation process because it's not been a very profitable season for me going against the Rockets. My takeaway is this is becoming more of a whine or moan section for me. It's just the incompetence of some of these teams to either utilize shooters or defend shooters. It seemed like we were on 3 or 4 plays in the last 2 days. Coming to mind would be Temple against SMU's inability to guard Brendan Barry. We saw North Carolina just let Buddy Boeheim get free and just barrage from long distance. Coach Cal basically ignoring the only shooter he has on his team, instead opting to watch his other guards and bigs throw rocks at the backboard. Shooters are weapons, coaches. Let's utilize them because it'd be nice if we could optimize those or take them away on sides that we are playing here on the show. So anyway, just a bummer, but we're always here to help both bettors and coaches. We're trying to do a 2-pronged attack here on this program. Again, folks, SBRodds.com. Make sure you have that up on your screen while we go through everything today. Value is king. The board was lit up pretty quickly last night and this morning, so hopefully a lot of our plays haven't been completely sucked out. But again, we got to make sure we're getting the right price when we recommend those. SBRpicks.com/NCAAB. Yeah, the link's conveniently right above us. So as Jim is pointing to so conveniently, make sure you check that out. Expert content, picks, breakdowns. It runs the gamut of great stuff there. So make sure to dive in. So let's get into the outline here. A decent slate tonight. I'd give it a B on the on my grading scale here. It seems like we'll have this theme all season where the slates get better as the week progresses, weaker to start, stronger toward the end. A Big 12 showdown tonight. We're going to the Lone Star State to kick us off here. Texas Tech at Texas. Yes, Shaka Smart playing host to Chris Beard. We have what we're calling the quasi-hook'em havoc against Beard's pesky pack line. Just off the, right off the surface, it feels like this is going to be a rock fight, right? 2 top 5 defenses. I got to go to you here first. To me, it feels like a gut Texas Tech lean. Seems like Chris Beard has one of these wins every season where it's sort of they go under the radar, and then they remind you that it's still Chris Beard. This is still a team that's a top 10 caliber. Do you see that tonight, or do you think Texas is just a better team?
Yeah, Matt, I do lean Texas Tech. They've had a luxury, though, recently, beating up on the dregs of the Big 12 last 2 games, Kansas State and Iowa State. Now they get Texas, who's pretty much been as good as I would say most people expected, certainly better than we expected. The Longhorns are playing like a 1 seed right now. They might have should have lost the West Virginia game. Still an impressive effort by them. I think Tech's no-middle defense is going to frustrate the Longhorns. They're going to force them into being jump shooters, taking a lot of threes. Texas can certainly have one of those games they make those shots, but you're going to live with Texas beating you with jumpers, and that's what Texas Tech's going to try to do. On the other end, I think Texas Tech lives at the line today. I think Texas is a little bit undisciplined when it comes to selling out for blocks, missing box outs. Texas Tech has an advantage there. This line is what I made it, so I would be staying away. Again, this is one of those frustrating things where odds makers come out with a line at 3. Kempom Bart had it at 4 or so. Odds makers may be on our side with the Texas Tech lean. Jim.
Yeah, I sort of lean Texas Tech, but I haven't given Texas enough respect all year. That's like a hand up. I just haven't given the Horns what they deserve. I'm still hesitant here. The Chris Beard versus Shaka Smart thing definitely leans towards the Red Raiders for me, but Texas has just been good, and maybe I just need to realize that. That's a big reason I'm just fully staying away on this one, both from the side and the total. Just gonna keep staying away from Texas because I can't figure them out.
Yeah, our guy Joe Kidd in the chat alluding to a potential concern I have. Mac McClung, he predicts code of 4 of 23 from the field. I hope he has better tonight than that if I'm going to end up being on the Raiders. But he has not been as elite against stiff competition. I think the length and the athleticism of Texas could bother him. But I'd look out for Terrence Shannon. He's played really well the last 2 games, an X factor. Look for him to have a big night, what should be a pretty favorable matchup against Texas's smaller guards. Hopefully he draws one of those guys. Let's keep on cruising here. An ACC tilt is next up. We have NC State traveling to Tallahassee. The Noles haven't played since the year 2020, a year that we can all, agree to forget. I'm sure they're looking to turn the page after they fell off the grid in the second half against Clemson, what feels like ages ago. So I guess from that context, this shapes up to be a get-right spot for the Noles. Or will the rust play a factor tonight, Jim?
I probably lean towards Florida State here. NC State's run. I did some good research here finally, right? NC State's 14th in the country in the amount of pick and roll they're running in the half court, and that just doesn't work against FSU. They're hyper switchable. Teams don't really run it at all against them, just because what are you going to do? Unless Kaprovica is on the floor where you can actually attack the big man and get him in that pick and roll action, I don't see how that works against Florida State's length. The matchup really leans towards the Noles here. My number made it right about what it is, so I'm not betting it at all. But yeah, I would lean towards Florida State in this one.
Yeah, my question, guys, is are any of the teams actually good? Florida State's Indiana win is so-so. The Florida win has an asterisk. They were blown out by UCF, handled by Clemson. NC State beat UNC. That's kind of meh right now to me. They lost to SLU, Clemson. Most recently, a shorthanded Miami team at home. I'm not convinced either team is that great right now. What I'm hoping we see tonight is Florida State's defense sort of wreaking havoc on NC State. They've been largely a penetration team. Jim, like you said, a lot of pick and roll in Keats's 4-out scheme. On the other hand, though, NC State will force turnovers. So it's kind of a back and forth in that sense. Florida State kind of doesn't have a true point guard right now. Scotty Barnes has been playing the role well, but still not a true point guard. I do lean Florida State. 4 is a little bit high for me to take, but I lean towards the Noles. They should win the glass battle. That's enough of a slight edge to have me leaning that way, Matt.
Yeah, I think the turnover issue is a real concern for the Noles. However, they did play well against NC State's pressure last year. Noles have actually won the last 2 against Keats. MJ Walker played well in both those games. He'll be a key initiator tonight against that press. The Wolfpack finally healthy now with Beverly back to key that press, Manny Bates on the back end. So you're getting the Wolfpack in a fully healthy situation here, which they've had a couple of minor injuries here and there. However, I would lean Florida State. So I think the Noles are going to be the right side here. It just feels like a get right, just a classic Noles game where their athleticism and length just asserts its superiority, I guess. All right, next up, SEC Showdown. Arkansas traveling to LSU down on the Bayou. We have a big injury question mark lingering in this one for my money. Cam Thomas, superstar freshman guard for the Tigers. It seems like he's flying under the radar somehow. He's really emerged as one of the premier shot makers in college basketball. However, the Tigers played well without him. They took care of business against Ole Miss last game, got phenomenal performances from their triumvirate, Javonte Smart, Darius Days, Trenton Wofford. Ky, do you think if Thomas is unable to go tonight, the Tigers keep it going, or will they miss his presence, you think?
I think they'll miss his presence. He's been excellent, Matt, this year. Cam Thomas, guys, 5-star recruit out there from Oak Hill. I think he's Oak Hill's all-time leading scorer. Somehow wasn't a McDonald's All-American. I'm sure he has a chip on his shoulder at that. Yeah, he's been their best offensive player. The offense will, I think, suffer a little bit if he's out, which is bad news considering LSU's defense is a complete liability. However, Arkansas, they have 0 wins over the KenPom top 80. Yes, they smashed Georgia by 30 last Saturday, but still haven't really beaten anybody I would consider very good. Justin Smith's absence has been hurting them a lot. If Thomas is out tonight, I would probably lean towards Arkansas. The line's a little bit short. I just don't fully trust them on the road, Jim.
Yeah, that's the concern. I haven't seen them really prove themselves quite yet on the road. They're solid at Auburn, but kind of like blew that lead a little bit late, and that's a different Auburn team than they are now with Sharif Cooper. I lean towards Arkansas. I think they can score kind of however they want. LSU having to defend in space against either pick and roll or just simple isolation ball where the Razorbacks play positionless and drive into gaps. I don't really see how the Tigers stop that. And then Arkansas can get after the offensive glass here. They're 27th in offensive rebound rate, and LSU is 271st in defensive rebound rate. So I would lean towards Arkansas. Even if Cam Thomas plays, I doubt he's 100%. And that just gives me enough edge towards the Razorbacks. So I would lean towards that. I'm not taking it officially. I've got a few plays on the slate, so don't get too frustrated with us, chat mob. We'll have some actual takes, but I would lean towards the Razorbacks here.
Jim, it looks like early money is on your side. I see it open -3 LSU down to 2. So yeah, I actually would lean the other way in this one. So I guess a slight disagreement amongst the three of us here. No official play, just to reiterate. I do want to quickly circle back to the previous matchup. I did not realize the line had dropped to 4 for Florida State. I'm going to go ahead and star that one as an official play for myself. I think you have value at 4, but anything above 4, I would stay away.
I think it might even down to 3, Matt.
3.5.
3.
I see 3.5 across. Yeah.
I'm taking 3.5, and I'm not going to look back. Thank you. Appreciate that.
There he is. Matt
line value is king. The SBR odds page coming through and need it. All right. One more SEC showdown, and then we'll go to a little chat mob break here. Auburn at Georgia. Bruce Pearl against Tommy Crean. The headline here is, in my opinion, the return of Sharif Cooper, who made his debut for Auburn last game against Alabama. Cooper was electric, but also erratic. I think down the stretch, some of those freshman growing pains started to shine through, but put up pretty monster numbers. You can see what a special talent he is, how much they've missed him this year. However, what that's sort of clouding above or over is the absence of Justin Powell, a guy we talked about in this program before, a key jack of all trades, Swiss Army knife guy for Auburn. Ky, what gives tonight? If you think, do you think Cooper comes in and masks his Powell's absence? Or do you think Cooper is really the elevator, the factor that gets them over the hump and really propels a good effort tonight for the Tigers?
Well, Matt, this will be my best bet today. It's Auburn. I've actually already lost value since the beginning of this show. I think they might even be a slight favorite now. Jim, I'm seeing pick. Is that right? Pick, maybe -1?
Pick some -1. That's I would take it to -1. I'm going to join you. But, tell them why it's your best bet, Ky.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with pick if you guys let me. Chat mob, if you want me to take -1, I'll take -1. Well, Sharif Cooper, guys, is a big reason we had the Tigers in our top 40 on our website to begin with. He's a 5-star point guard. Like Matt said, made his debut against Alabama, 26 points, 9 assists, 3 steals in a game that Auburn was right in with Alabama, almost won that game. The Tide have been rolling lately. I know Justin Powell's out. His absence does hurt, but Cooper certainly makes up for it and more. And this is a team that's going to keep improving under Bruce Pearl. We've seen it before. We're going to see it again. This team's going to get better and better. Georgia's certainly hung with LSU. I just don't think they're that good. This game's going to play extremely fast. I think that benefits Auburn. I'm a little bit more confident in Cooper handling the ball than other guys on Auburn because Georgia does force a lot of turnovers, really pressures you. I like Auburn. Yes, I'm a little hesitant being on the road as well. They're kind of like an Arkansas in that sense. But, Jim, the Tigers are my best bet. I'm planting my flag.
Yeah. I like that. I lean towards over as well. So I think Cooper's just going to kind of change the pace. That effort against Alabama looks really good now. I mean, Alabama's blown out 3 of the last 4 teams they played, and Auburn, with Cooper making his debut, is the only team that really hung with them. Cooper's assist rate right now is 68%, which is laughable. Like it's nothing's going to stay over 50%, I wouldn't imagine. But he stepped in right away and basically didn't miss a beat. That was really impressive. They've got solid athletes on the wings. Here's the only caveat I'm going to throw in here is that backing road Auburn is terrifying.
Yes, it is.
Since Bruce Pearl got there, they are 29-41 against the spread on the road, which is 41%. Not great, but I do think this matchup sets up well. I'm not a big Georgia guy, and I just think Cooper makes them a totally different team. They're undervalued right now. So, yeah, let's go Auburn.
Yep, I'll make it consensus. I'll take Auburn at whatever line the chat mob allows you to hop in there, Mr. McKeon. So I will make that my second official play. I, like Jim, was going to be on the over. I see that's been steamed up to 156. That's a little bit outside my comfort zone, so that's not an official play. But I think Jim said it right. Cooper just ups their offensive explosiveness. I think he also, that game played 88 possessions against Alabama. I know Alabama's a very fast team, but I think that's a sign of more high possession, more typical Auburn pace games like what you saw with Bryce Brown and Jared Harper in sort of the glory days of Auburn hoops a couple of years ago. All right, let's hit some chat mob questions. Again, I forgot to point at chat mob Czar, but I know both of your team players and have been doing that practically without me assigning it to you. So who wants to kick some of these off here?
Well, Matt, there is just massive clamoring in the chat for two games specifically.
Let's hit them.
Well, we got to wait on one. One is St. Bonaventure and Fordham.
Okay.
I think we got to hold off on that because that is a Matthew best bet game.
I think the folks know where I'm going with that one. Like that's the cat's
just do it now. Just do it now. Then give it to him.
It's Bonnie's. I mean, I'm gonna go to the grave probably betting Bonnie's most of the year. But the way they played with how well Jaron Welsh has stepped back in, huge boost. Holmes, excuse me.
Yeah.
I keep getting these names confused. But he changed the name from Welsh to Holmes, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
So actually, a fun battle.
You're thinking of Dominic Welch. You're thinking
Dominic Welch. That's right. But this is actually a game that features two guys who have changed their last names. Fordham, Josh Cullen to Josh Navarro. So the battle of name changers, I suppose. I think Fordham is just in for a dud effort. A pretty incredible performance against Dayton. I think this is a classic just letdown. They just don't come out with the same vigor that they came out with last game. The Bonnies just overwhelmed them. I think it's a slow-paced game, so it could be tough to clear the number, but I think I don't see Fordham score more than 40 points in this game.
Yeah, Fordham battled against Duquesne, too. Super short-handed Duquesne. So it's two straight really good Fordham efforts, and now hopefully the Bonnies are, as long as St. Bonaventure takes them seriously and looks at them like, hey, this is a team to beat Dayton, we need to show up, then, yeah, I'm with you. I would agree with Bonaventure. Looking at 12, I think, Matthew.
12 is fine. I'll take 12.
I lean your way, Matt. I'm not going to take it for the show. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm not locking it in officially. I will let you ride solo with the Bonnies. The other one.
What was the other one?
It's been asked a ton. Sam Culmer, Brendan Bailey, plenty of others. Furman and the Citadel, both the side and the total here. Citadel undefeated. Basically, all their games seem to rocket over because of the pace they play at, and Furman can clearly score against them. I don't have a lean on the side. I sort of, favorite Furman is usually a go-to bet, but the Citadel's been super feisty. I would lean towards the over. I mean, that feels like the spinny, obvious play, but if both teams are going to score 80 points, then you're in probably pretty decent shape.
Yeah, lots of points in this game. Matt, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, the Citadel sped up Chattanooga, a shorthanded Chattanooga team coached by a former Bo Ryan assistant. I think that means something. The Citadel is going to play their tempo at all cost. Furman will welcome that. Furman can play in all tempos. They got plenty of horses to run with these guys. I think both agree to engage in a track meet. The over probably feels like the right side. I just think 164 is a massive total, so I will not be playing it officially.
I agree.
All right, we got a lot of other A10 questions. We can fly through the A10, and then we'll do the rest at the end. Dayton and Duquesne. I think Matt and I have a lean towards the under.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're going to officially lock it in. I don't think I am, but Duquesne super shorthanded after Sincere Carey entered the portal. Lamar Norman's hurt. Maceo Austin also stepped away from the team. It's weird in their backcourt for the Dukes.
Yeah, and that concerns me. Excuse me. That concerns me a little bit, Jim. The line's getting up there, though. I don't think Dayton's like 7 points better, even with those guys out. I don't know. I'm staying away.
Yeah, I'm not going to lock it in now, but I will consider if it climbs maybe to 7, Ky, counter-punching with the Duke. Jim, I will actually make that under an official play. I'm surprised now I look at the line. It hasn't come down. It's still at 132.5 where it opened. I think the loss of Carey is going to be a pretty big blow to the offense and probably deflates the pace too. So I'll go ahead and lock in the under there too at 132.5.
I'm going to join you. 132.5. Let's do it, Matthew.
The water's warm. Yes, sir.
I think it makes sense. There's good reason for it. So we'll go with that. UMass and Rhode Island. J-Man Johnson asked about this one. Ky and I are head-to-head here. I am covering my eyes, terrified of backing a Matt McCall Minutemen team, but we'll see how it works out. I'm not a huge fan of David Cox on the other end of the sideline, so we'll see. Ky, your roadie boys, what do you got?
Well, I liked it better, Jim, at the opener, -1.5 for Rhode Island. It's up to 3 now. I'd probably still lean that way for Rhode Island. I just hate UMass. I really do. I've been on them too many times this year, and they've let me down. They certainly have talent, but Rhode Island, we've talked about 100 times in the show. They've been extremely good this season, and they've played a very tough schedule. I think they can get it done tonight.
UMass has, or I think it's 357th in luck per Ken Palm's algorithm, which, I mean, it just... You can say it's luck. It's also, it's on the stretch. They make some really boneheaded decisions, which is why they lose close games. So, I think that matters as well.
I would lean over. Just a quick add there. Both teams will just run up and down willingly. That's just my quick 2 cents. Go ahead, Jim.
And then the last A-10 game, we can get to the rest later. Like I said, Terrell Johnson asked about George Mason and LaSalle. I liked George Mason at the opener, but it's been bet up, and I don't have anything anymore, unfortunately.
Yep, same me, Jim. Liked the earlier line.
Like LaSalle's kind of broken, in my opinion. So, I think it's George Mason or nothing for me.
Yep. All right, let's get back to the outline.
Let's do it. Back to the big boys. The Big Ten, specifically, is where we're going back to the outline here. A rematch. We actually have two rematches back-to-back on the outline. The first one, Northwestern traveling to Ohio State. If you guys remember, Northwestern escaped the Buckeyes in Chicago by a point in the first meeting. And since that game, Northwestern has dropped 3 in a row, but 3 very excusable losses at Iowa, at Michigan, the juggernaut that is Michigan. But then they had the catastrophic meltdown at home to Illinois, which still brings up nightmarish memories in our minds. Jim, is this the spot where Northwestern can finally get back on track, or do you think that collapse is sort of this team is starting to crack?
I think there's a little starting to crack. I think Jordan Majeski said on Twitter that he felt like people started to figure out what Northwestern's doing, which makes sense to me. I don't think Chris Collins is some super adaptive coach that's constantly making terrific adjustments. Ohio State's also probably angry because they lost at Northwestern, kind of got nipped at the end, and I would imagine they're seeking a little revenge. But with no CJ Walker, they had no problem against Rutgers, but I got to think that catches up with them a little bit at some point. I like the under here. Let me check on the number, but I think this one's going to be an underplay for me, assuming we're in okay shape there. It's like 140, below 140. I like down to 141, so I'm not going to take it officially, but that would be a Big Ten underlean from the Undertaker here.
Yeah, guys, I was kind of thinking in my head, is Northwestern back to the Northwestern of old, or do they just play 3 top 10 teams, right? Iowa by 15, Michigan by 19, Illinois by 25. That last one is what I'm kind of worried about. We talked about the historically bad second half Northwestern had against Illinois. Yeah. That has to at least kill their confidence, excuse me, a little bit. My voice today, guys, is all kinds of terrible.
Oh, we love it.
Now they go on they go on the road now to a hot Ohio State team. I know they're missing CJ Walker. Northwestern beat this team on December 26th. There's certainly an aspect of revenge on Ohio State's mind, I'm sure. I think they pound the Cats tonight. They're looking to get to 4-3 and break the tie in the Big Ten with Northwestern. There's a lot at stake. They're at home. Even without CJ Walker, I think Ohio State -8's a good bet.
Yeah, that's my lane too.
CJ Walker doesn't really move the needle for me at all. I'll be honest. I think what they did without him against Rutgers was like, okay, yeah, this team they don't need a dynamic point guard. The line feels high, but I think Ohio State could be on an upward trajectory. So I will stay away. Let's keep on going again. The second of the 2 conference rematches here. Going to the American for this one. Tulsa traveling to Wichita to take on the Shockers. This line opened 1. I went to bed and I woke up and it was -4. It's like, oh, okay. I guess the whole world saw what we all saw. It felt like it was way too short. Obviously, Tulsa's been very effective. I think the books have been making a ton of money off sharps fading Tulsa. We've been a part of that. We were on the wrong end of that, I should say. Wichita almost blew the first game, won in overtime. They were avenging that loss they had last year. So a couple different spot angles you can dig into. Ky, what do you make of all these different lenses through which you can view this matchup?
Well, I'm wondering if we should surrender to Tulsa as the American overlords. They're 4-1 in the AAC this year, and they were great last year too. They
did this last year too. Yeah.
They beat Houston. They won at Cincy. They won at Memphis. I mean, maybe they're just built to dominate the American. Like you said, Wichita did beat them in the first game. and Wichita's been nothing but spectacular since. They're a top 30 defense now. Or sorry, that was Tulsa. Excuse me. Tulsa's been doing nothing since that game, nothing but spectacular things since that game. I'll get it right. They're a top 30 defense, but Wichita has been streaking as well. I think Tulsa's going to struggle to score. I don't think they're going to be able to force Wichita into too many dumb decisions. Wichita's been very, very good with the ball in their hands this year. Alterique Gilbert is a huge reason why UConn transfer. In game one, Wichita grabbed 15 offensive rebounds. I think we're going to see the same sort of story in this game. Hopefully, guys, for both teams' sake, the free throw shooting improves. Wichita 9 for 17 in the first game. Tulsa 11 for 21. That's an ugly game to watch. I would like to bet Wichita here, but the number's gotten a little too high for my liking, Jim.
Yeah, that's the problem. I just got bombed from 1.5 to 4. Like, congratulations. You've stolen any value that I had on this one, unfortunately. I did look. Wichita State only scored like 14 points on 20 zone possessions against Tulsa last game, which isn't great. So I assume we see even more of that zone from Tulsa. But they did get some points when it mattered late. Alterique Gilbert hit a corner 3. They got a couple key offensive rebounds. As Ky noted, that was a big route to points for them. And Wichita's covered 5 straight games. So I think people are starting to wisen up to, this is still a good team, even with no Greg Marshall around. So yeah, lean towards Wichita, but can't recommend it at the current number.
Yeah, so Tulsa started off last year. Kai, you talked about this similar trajectory they're on this season as last year. Started off 7-1 in conference last season, finished 13-5. Looked at some of the rematches. A team seemed to solve Tulsa's voodoo magic zone, as I keep calling it, because it somehow baits people into shooting 20% from 3. Seems like in the rematch in conference, coaches figure it out, solve a little bit more, have more success. So I would lean Wichita from a matchup angle as well. But again, it's 4. It's just too high. So cannot take it.
Yep.
All right, last game here on the outline. Louisville at Wake Forest, sort of an odd ACC matchup. We just haven't seen Wake Forest's name come up here. And I'll just be upfront. I'll be candid. I don't know a lot about this team. I really don't. I've been trying to solve them, but it's it feels like an island of misfit toys, but that island is under the command and rule of one of our favorites, Steve Forbes. So you got to think they have value just from a coaching perspective, but that's negated by Chris Mack. Jim, I'll go to you here. What do you eyeing in this one?
I watched all of the Wake Forest Virginia game, and they kind of made some crazy shots. Ismail Masu had hit a bunch of solid ones to cover there, but they also covered at Duke. So they've covered 2 straight tough road games. Now they come back home against, like you said, a well-coached Louisville team, but they're playing really solid defense. Wake is lately. I think that's kind of the deal breaker, the deal maker here, because I'm going to take Wake Forest +8. We've run into trouble taking some of these home dogs that are a worse team lately, but I'm sticking to my guns there. I think the Demon Deacons can hang around. Louisville isn't like a blow you out amazing offensive squad. I mean, they struggled with shorthanded Pitt. They've not really run away from teams so far this year. So I think it's okay to back the Deacons here getting 8. I will take Wake.
Yeah, 2 straight pesky covers for them on the road against Virginia and Duke. Duke, of course, I don't know, in their own circle of hell right now. Steve Forbes, guys, just a hell of a coach. He just needs a little more talent. I think he's going to have this program back to actually competitive in the ACC in the near future. Louisville, huge win over Virginia Tech. They're 8-1, guys, despite missing Charles Minlin and Malik Williams. Just 4-1 against the spread, though. They have been vulnerable from that lens. Of course, the only lens we truly care about on this show.
That's right.
I think Wake could be a live dog here at home. It's possibly a sleepy road spot for a Louisville team, sort of resting on its laurels. They're getting healthy soon. They're not quite healthy yet. And they have another road contest coming up against Miami on the horizon. So I lean towards Jim's Wake Forest take here, Matt.
Yeah, Jim, I think you mentioned Minlin might be coming back soon for Louisville.
Almost certainly not this one, though. Yeah,
okay, not this one. Okay, but Malik Williams is the big domino that they need to get back in there. I agree with you. I think my lean is toward Wake. It just feels like a high number in what should be a fairly slow-paced game. All right, Kyle, toss the mic back to you for our best bets, and we'll finish up with one more chat mob round. Reiterate what you spewed out earlier.
Yep, I took Auburn at pick. Guys, I saw some chat mobbers had +1 in there, so I feel comfortable taking the pick. Sharif Cooper, big reason why he's a stud. You should watch the game. He truly is an amazing player.
Yeah, he's awesome,
and he will be on the national radar very, very soon.
Yeah, super fun to watch. I was with you on Auburn, Ky. We also, Matt, you and I took Duquesne and Dayton under 132.5. I took Wake Forest +8. And my best bet, a game that a couple people have asked about in the chat, so we'll finally get to it. I'm looking at Wofford versus VMI here for my best bet. I'm taking the road favorite. I think Wofford is set up well to combat VMI. VMI is 298th defensively in three-point attempt rate, and Wofford is first offensively, so they're going to get a ton of looks from deep. They're smart enough to, they're not going to turn the ball over against the VMI weird zone, matchup-y zone thing.
Yeah, yep.
And VMI doesn't have the bigs to attack Wofford inside. That's really how you can beat that team.
Right.
So I like Wofford. I think it's -5. Let me double check. I see 5 at plenty of places. So Wofford -5 is my best bet today.
Jim, that makes it a 5. My 5th play is at Wofford -5. I'm glad you brought that up. I will tag along. I'm already on them small. I think your analysis is spot on there. Florida State, I mentioned earlier, -4. Ky talked about Auburn, Dayton, Duquesne under, and then St. Bonnie's -12 is my best bet. So chat mob questions. Let's round them up and let's sign off here.
All right. We did miss one A10 game that got asked about, so I'll mention that. Isaiah Lopez asked about VCU and George Washington. I don't have anything. I liked it at 9, but I don't think that was ever really widely available, unfortunately. So, Ky, do you have anything here?
I'm with you, Jim. I liked VCU at a lower number. 11.5 is too high for me to lay points, even though it is George Washington.
Yeah, it's been bet up. I mean, I just thought about what I would have made this in the preseason, and it was VCU -4. But these teams have gone in starkly different directions. So, okay, another one that got asked a bunch: Nick Loya and several others. Boise State, Wyoming rematch. We took Wyoming in the first matchup. Why aren't we doing it again at a higher number? Well, it's because I watched that game and I saw that Boise State was just way better. Abu Kigab was the best player on the floor by far. They just completely ran over Wyoming with their athleticism. Now, granted, it was a 5-point game with 6 minutes left. It wasn't a total blowout until just a hailstorm of 3-pointers late from Boise, but I'm not brave enough to take the Cowboys again here.
Yeah, Armis was dominant in that game. Hunter Thompson got his lunch eaten there. I want no part of Wyoming in this rematch.
Yep. Okay, another one out of the SoCon. Jamal Madison asked about Mercer and Chattanooga. I like Mercer here, but you got to make sure or hope that Neftali Alvarez is back, their point guard. It's been very mysterious about what his status is.
Yep.
The transfer PG for them. So keep an eye on that one. Nuga still probably somewhat shorthanded, but they might get a couple bodies back. Another thing to be very aware of there.
Yeah, I agree with Mercer, but Alvarez got to play. So if anyone in the chat mob has answers, please do share.
Yep. Michael Hunter asked about Virginia and Notre Dame in the ACC. I think Virginia has won a lot in a row against Notre Dame, and that sort of makes sense. That discipline, tough pack line D. But Virginia's kind of struggled to find itself lately. Hasn't really been firing on all cylinders. Either of you have anything? Ky, any lean in this game?
Jim, that game against Notre Dame that we attended, Virginia-Notre Dame a couple years ago, just always sticks in my head. Virginia just dismantled them. They won by 40. Tony Bennett ran circles around Bray. Granted, Virginia was extremely good that year. I think that was their national championship year, and Notre Dame was terrible. But that game always sticks in my head. I'd lean Virginia, but that's a lot of points for the Hoos to cover, especially how they've been kind of playing this year.
I do lean Irish. I just want to say Trey Wirtz got hurt in that first game with between these two, and that's when Notre Dame started to fade. I think he's back for this one. You get 20 good minutes out of him, and that actually matters in what should be a pretty slow-paced game.
Yeah, he played last game, I think, so he should be definitely fine.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Johnny Hambone asked about New Mexico and Dixie. He thought maybe the line was too short. New Mexico should hammer them. I think this New Mexico team is a complete wreck. They have no home base. They've been playing games in Lubbock. Then they got back to Albuquerque for a little bit. Now they go to St. George to play Dixie State, who I think is a pretty well-coached team. And I did see on Twitter, I think they're back to full strength. Frank Stain was out due to some contact tracing, and he tweeted that he'll be back. So I lean Dixie here as the home dog against a team that I think is a total mess right now.
Yeah, it's a hard stay away. Just stay away, but I would lean Dixie, I suppose.
Yeah, we got to make you give something here.
Yeah, I got it something.
Mr. Playtime asked about DePaul and Georgetown. This is the hardest of stayaways on the side to me.
Imagine betting on either of these two teams. Yeah, how do you feel confident about betting on either side here? That's just don't do it. Stop.
They're both all over the place. However, I do have a lean towards the over because I think both teams are willing participants in a track meet. So
correct.
A lot of points potentially there.
Yeah, we're going to see both teams get huge leads here and blow them both. It's going to be really fun to watch.
Like an NBA game, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. We had one asked about the extra board that I liked. I'm checking the number. Somebody asked about Central Arkansas, Stephen F. Austin.
No.
It's up to 9.5, 10, so I'm not going to add it, unfortunately. But I liked it at a lower number, and the market has been all over Stephen F. Austin here. I think that one makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, SFA a little undervalued because they haven't played many D1 games, but this team has every right to be as good as they were last year. And that was a fringe top 100 team. So I think SFA is a good buy low and early Southland comp.
Yep. Another one off the extra board quickly. Luke Beasley and somebody else. Jared Nichols. Jared Nichols asking about his boys at Nichols State.
Right. Yeah.
Taking on Northwestern State. I lean towards Nichols, but I don't have any value on the number, to be honest. Nichols is just better, and Northwestern State's been pretty bad this year.
They're scrappy.
I don't want to disrespect Southland home courts. So, if you argue home court's not that much, then I'd say Nichols is the right play here. But I should mention why the Southland's the only or one of the few conferences not doing the back-to-back makes no sense to me. Like low budget, geographically dispersed teams. Just
wild. Why would you not want the less travel costs? Doesn't make sense. All right. I think that wraps it up. I agree. Miami was terrible last night. Totally agree. Just no fight in them. So
nope.
Hey, BC 18 for 35 guys and missing two of their best players. What do you want? I'm making that bet 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, yep. we need to hire a modeler who could predict which team's going to shoot well from three. That's the holy grail. So we're still working on developing that behind the scenes.
I do not regret that bet. Don't do it.
All right, Maddie, wrap us up. Give SBR some love and get us out of here.
SBRpicks.com/NCAAB. Again, it's right above you. Check it out. SBRodds.com. All your line shopping can be done then. Until tomorrow, take care, folks. Good luck tonight.